Good morning. What they don't teach you at Y Combinator. I got a question. Why are you doing this? Are you doing this for attention? Actually, I'm doing this because it's funny. Am I attention seeking? No. This is actually the opposite of getting attention because this is negative attention. The reason it's funny is because this is exactly YC. Because these are all things that I know to be true that you'll realize that YC will realize this way later. That's why it's funny to me because that's the definition of humor. It's the interruption of the expected. Whereas some people think, oh, I didn't get into Y Combinator, therefore I'm angry. That's funny because that's not true. It's funny because these are things that are going to be realized as truths that you're going to need to do, which is right out of point number one, which is what to do what to do on day 5 of a conference. Or 5-day conference is not rare, but the last day of a conference. And this also coincides with how do you attend conferences that cost thousands of dollars? Which one do you want to go first? Do you want to go how to ace conferences that cost thousands of dollars that are work conferences, or do you want to go how to win day 5 of a conference like NADCO? You pick. Pick. I'm waiting. Let's pick how to attend conferences for thousands of dollars. You can go for free because somebody at YC knows somebody who can get you in for free, or you can do it free before you go to YC, which is you write blog posts. The bar for a press credential right now is so low that a corporate blog, personal blog on the industry of machine learning, RAG models, can get you very much into a conference for free because so few a number of people actually write articles after attending. Even fewer will write articles or blog posts, a web log, a blog, will write articles before the conference so that way people go to the conference or know what to expect at that conference. That's what they don't teach you at Y Combinator, is to get free press badges for conferences by writing 2 articles, 12 sentences, 2 pictures, 1 focus. Prompt engineering within machine learning as it pertained to last year's AI conference to this year's generative AI conference. That's it. And now you've begun the conversation of what can I expect to learn in Miami at the conference on your topic. Last day of a conference. It's counterintuitive but incredibly true that you should eat breakfast for 2.5 hours. Am I just trying to be the smart person telling you counterintuitive things while chuckling? Yes. Okay. Absolutely yes. Because until you do it one time, you'll never think that it's actually true. So the last day of the conference, breakfast starts at 9. People drag butt to get there. In fact, most people have even left the conference because it's the last day. People kind of don't like not losers, losers. They don't like lower energy. They like the energy of the first day. They like the energy of the second day. By the third day, everyone's magically surprised. Oh, people have left. Like, this conference feels half the size. So what? All the money is for you. It's still nearby. That's why the last day of the conference is incredibly important. And who taught this to me? Mark McCormick. He's like, oh yeah, last day of conference, that's laydown day. I'm like, what's laydown day? Laydown is where people are so impressed that you're actually up and active that they'll just lay down for a sale. It's laydown day. I'm like, And then ever since then, I've just watched, because the herd that gets slaughtered, they're like, oh, well, I'll just roll in at noon because I'm tired. Eat breakfast for 2.5 hours. Why? Because there might be 4 people there at breakfast, but everybody is there to fuck, to money fuck, to fuck around with money. It's more obvious to me than a girl who lingers at the bar at 1 a.m. versus not lingering. I'm conflicted in talking about dating because, like me talking about money on the last day of a conference, me talking about dating to virgins is like me talking about money to people that are trying to be billionaires. And what level are you at right now? You're $6,000 in school loan debt. Under. So, like, I don't know what analogies to use. I can't use sports analogies because you're like, is there a virgin who doesn't play any sport kind of analogies? And then we're right back on to why we're doing this video series, is that your EQ is low, default Asperger's, right? Perfectly on cue, ruffling feathers. Is there a postmortem? Is there a postmortem holding you? Ruffling feathers. It's not just ruffling feathers just to cause trouble. It's to help people avoid bankruptcy. The ratio that matters, what they don't teach you at YC, about politics, presidency, the only thing that matters is production to debt. Production, sales, production, gross domestic production, if you're a country, the ratio of GDP to debt. If those ratios are messed up, you're messed up. When you're trying to edit people, when you're trying to delete or cancel people, or you're trying to excommunicate people. Why? Are you doing that because they wanted to go camping with kids? Are you doing it because they pilfered money? Or are you doing it because they're telling a truth that's semi-unpopular? Because shouldn't diversity of opinion help? Because that's why diversity is good, is it not? And so really nothing very much matters except for the scoreboard. And the way to track the score is gross production divided by debt, the ratio of production to debt. What YC loves more than anything is not revenue and production and GDP and debt avoidance. What YC loves more than anything is the academic validation of venture capital. Venture capital is not a high GPA. Venture capital is just a drug. It's a hell of a drug, but it's still a drug. Venture capital. It's a mortgage on your business where the note holder can spend very little money to get you fired so that way their cap table improves. I'm not saying I hate venture capital, because I love venture capital, obviously, because I'm in it. I am saying GDP to debt. Once you drive the dashboard forward of, okay, let's try to take this breakfast coupon. I won't even hold it up for you. Breakfast coupon, saving you time. Breakfast coupon, breakfast coupon. And then try to make $250,000 on that breakfast coupon. I know that sounds like all the money in the world, but it also has you belittling water burp. This is your abundance. I'll focus and meditate on your abundance. And your abundance comes from being slightly more competitive. That comes from the movie What the Bleep Do We Know? It's incredibly counterintuitive that you can drink water out of glass, meditate on the intention of what you want, and that the water actually codes and programs. And then you ingest that water, and that's the 6 steps to the epiphany. Steve Blank wrote that. Being competitive. Instead of just being VC competitive, why? Instead of being school competitive, oh, Stanford, and then the rest is just easy because you're just trying to name brand your way forward into entrepreneurship. Oh, did I tell you that I'm YC class of winter 2029? What? Nobody cares about Y Combinator or class numbers. Like, why are you calling me? In fact, calling is terrific. Competitive, not in venture capital, but in money, in a overly contempt for money and revenue type of way. So when you're being competitive in money and not just competitive in school or competitive in brand of venture capital that you got, there's a underlying contempt that arrogant Ivy students have, which is not wanting to give power to a retard who works at a Fortune 500 company. There, I said it. It's a lot like your female empowered feminists who scoff at the dating market. Competitiveness is everywhere. Specifically, this is the pattern that Ivy students have that you have to see, which is this. Hey, I graduated from Harvard. Why am I driving an Uber? There's a reason for it. Is that people don't just pay you to be slightly smart or book smart. People actually do pay you to be smart, but not smart in a way that you think. People pay you to be street smart, which is why Ivy has massive contempt when a community college person from, I can't even lie about it, Palo Alto Cities College, PACC, get it, Stanford, is currently kicking YC ass via stupid videos where you're like, why are we not doing what this guy says? He's been saying it since Sam Altman asked the question, hey, Stanford Engineering, who's going to teach CS183D, as in distribution? And you're going to get mad at me? Why would you get mad or have contempt or even try to block me on social media? Because that's funny. It's funny because this is true stuff that you need to have, and maybe my style offends you. So what? Don't you want the money? Aren't you semi-competitive where you don't care where the information came from? And also, I'm gamifying you to not do this so that way more lesser versions of you, like your little brother, like your little sister, like your nephew is going, or niece is going to absolutely trump you. Competitive in business. Here's what it is. Here's the problem. Business sense and counterintuition, it's overly familiar. It's got the common hustle culture video vibe. But that is not me, because look at my lack of adoption. Do you think that I wanted to go viral? Or do you think I relish in seemingly basic things told excruciatingly slow? Because the thing that you're not at all familiar with is in a wildly large mammal in a very, very, very big pond of Silicon Valley. What you're used to is big fish, little pond. What you haven't seen is a giant Chinese man in the largest pool ever on Earth. Being overly familiar with concepts such as networking, general, or entrepreneurship, super general, or nomenclature. We're calling our business a $1 billion sounding name. Those things are overly familiar. What is not at all familiar is the solutions to all three things. Don't name your business a $1 billion business. Name your business the product that's going to get you to $600,000. If it's a piece of software, Larry Chang's cell phone number underwriting for banks that don't want to charge off. Or Larry Chang cell phone number underwriting. Who's Larry Chang? Oh, that's my co-founder. What's cell phone underwriting used for? Oh, for avoiding and ducking charge-offs. What do you mean ducking charge-offs? Consumer or business? Oh, business charge-offs. How do you guys do that? Well, you guys are Social Security number based, right? Yeah, isn't everybody? Yeah, well, we augment Social Security numbers with cell phone number data because we're able to front run cell phone number data with cell phone number data while you're back running, later running, never running Social Security data via thin file analysis. What? So basically, if I'm understanding you, you're replacing a cell phone number, you're replacing a Social Security number, the need for a SOC, with a cell phone number. How accurate's the data? I think I'm in. And do you see how the name of the business, Larry Chang's cell phone number underwriting, you can go one of two ways. Ask who Larry Chang is, or ask about cell phone number underwriting. Either way, you're going to win either way. And so most people's businesses, the first question is, did you say .com or .io or .ai? How long have you guys been an AI company for? See, it's already bad. It's already bad. Because your product doesn't even try to sniff at solving problems. Competitive in industry. This is where YC people become overly confident. And so it's super competitive. How are you being overly confident when you just showed up? Like, this strikes me as massively hilarious when people are like, well, what kind of validation do you have? Well, we got into Y Combinator. What? You're explaining winning by saying that some ugly girl picked you and now your slump is busted? No, you're still in your slump. That doesn't count as a slump buster. Okay? Like, getting into YC is not a life slump buster. It's just not. That's the overconfidence. That's being competitive in industry and then somehow being overly confident because you don't know about it. The best example for this, hold on to your butts. Oh, I just heard about Bitcoin. I'm here to help. What? You just heard about Bitcoin. And now you think you're here to help? Like, what kind of confidence do you have that you're so, like, you're just completely clueless because you're so overconfident? I'm not trying to kick retards from Ivy schools while you're poor and down. Okay, this is not this intention. That is not the intention of this video series. The intention of this video series is for you to avoid bankruptcy. And I just am the only person talking about this, so therefore I will continue to talk about this because it's overly confident, overly familiar, and overly contemptuous for the stages of being competitive in the marketplace. Because if you look at money and rising success, every school graduates thousands of people, and the only people that actually become semi-competent entrepreneurs, it's very few. So if you look at it as a draft class or a class of vintage Y Combinator, just because you got drafted into YC does not guarantee success. It guarantees you a 15 or 5% level of success. Whereas I'm offering you 100% success. And that's because I am the smartest mother scratcher on the planet. And I know that that sounds so bad to say, but why am I number one in entrepreneurship education? It's because I'm the only person who's competitive in and around $0 as I'm staring at Tom Brady, the mammal. $0 is an issue that is nearly never discussed. If you look at everything that YC teaches you, it's on dollars 50 million to dollars 2 billion. Why? Because YC is judged by the number of unicorns, the number of billion-dollar companies. And so if you're not a unicorn, you're nothing to them. And they're willing to kill 19 out of 20 to get that 1 in 20. In fact, they'll kill 199 of 200 just to find that one unicorn. And is that funny? I mean, it kind of is. Because could you imagine if that's how you did it in Pakistan? And maybe that is what you're comfortable with, where you're trying to survive. And then you feel like you finally have arrived after surviving, only to then get boiled with acid in a horrifically slow and luxurious hot tub. Kind of like crabs in a pot. That's what VC is. Come on in. The water's warm. Oh, we'll throw you accolades. Oh, we'll let you meet world leaders. Oh, we'll invite you to the coolest VIP things so that way you can really build your confidence. Oh, are you a tragically ESG DEI candidate? Terrific. We'd love to invite you and replace the Caucasian males that are deserving, right? We'd love that. Baby steps towards competition. So I presented a lot of problems. What's a solution? YC check-ins. Baby steps. Before you get into YC, are you better Tuesday to Tuesday? Because remember, you don't need to wait to get into YC in order to study YC Tuesday night mentorship. You can study the stuff right now with yourself. I almost said with me. Yeah, okay, with me, but like that involves you texting a stranger. Oh, I don't know if I could do that because gosh, talking to him, I feel so poor and dumb. I don't like to feel poor and dumb. I like to feel confident. And then I'm not overly familiar with his brand of mentorship because I'm a virgin. I didn't play any professional sports and my engineering degree is lackluster. You know what? I will be your study buddy in baby steps towards competition. Tuesday to Tuesday training table where we get better Tuesday to Tuesday. And initially, let's just do 4 Tuesdays. And each Tuesday in sequence, that might be a lot of pressure on you in the fact that YC has 16 weeks, 20 weeks, 25 weeks of Tuesday, Tuesday, Tuesday. Are you better? Are you better? Are you better? And so, baby steps. Let's just do 2 Tuesdays. Is this a franchise? No, because I've already done this at my local college called Training Table. Can you listen to a speaker, apply what that coach and mentor taught you to get better, so that way next time at the Tuesday dinner, you're speaking? All I see at YC are celebrities coming in, dropping bombs with no structure. This sounds like, you know what this sounds like? This sounds like the Chang household, where you just get another PhD coming in from Yale, dropping random shit on top of my University of Illinois bound brain. And then MIT rolls in, aka Dad. He's got some ideas too. Is there any structure to it? Nope. Enjoy the University of Illinois. Now you've got structure. Baby competition. Tuesday to Tuesday. Oh my God. Stanford check-ins. Are you better year to year? Stanford check-ins, Stanford training table. Are you better training table to training table? Baby competition at a conference. Remember day 5 or last day? Remember how to get into a conference for free? Baby competition, baby steps towards competition. Let's do that. Let's pick one conference that if you spoke at would double your YC company valuation. Baby steps. Text me the conference that's in the future, that's at least 5 days in the future. Ideally, it's 5 months in the future. It's okay if it's 2 months in the future. The way I do conferences is year to year, because South by South lawn to South by South lawn, guess who got better? Barack Obama, mentee. What they don't teach at Y Combinator is asking strangers for money. This is why. Because when virgins are asking people for dates, or people that have never made 100K now are asking VCs for money, and they all of a sudden say yes, now those virgins who have never made 100K, who all of a sudden have a $17 million mortgage where they could get fired, they're now overly confident, and they don't think that they need to ask other people for $2,000. This is baby steps at a conference. This is asking strangers for money. Is people, those strangers who give you money, they could get fired if you F up the money that they gave you. And so guess what? They're not going to be real excited to just give you sales. You're going to be asking for sales, and then they'll be like, okay, we'll do it. Asking strangers for money is the gap. It's such a taboo topic, way more than the P word, pedo, which is distribution. It's sales and selling. It's technical sales. It's the topic that has this as a faux pas, taboo, sacrosanct, which is this. If you ask 10 people to sell, even 10 salespeople to sell, only 5 to 2 people will actually sell. And this is actually in tech sales. That's true. Now imagine if you're trying to hire a VP of sales. That person may not sell. Now, imagine trying to train technology sales to all co-founders of a cohort. YC 2035, because you still haven't brought in Larry Chang's structure. Disaster happens because people literally cry and say, I'm never going to do this. It's just too hard. What is so hard about asking strangers for money? This is why I went to to the University of Illinois in Urbana-Champaign, and so that way I never had to hear no again. Like, whine, whine, whine. I can't even whine correctly because I'm a horrible actor. What I know to be true is technology sales is what keeps startups alive, because there's also another genius that maybe you guys haven't had recently to Y Combinator for Tuesday night keynotes, and that person's name is Stephen Blank. 4 Steps to the Epiphany. I don't know how you can operate in Silicon Valley without mastering 4 Steps to the Epiphany. And the innovation that the genius Steve Blank, who taught at Columbia, that's a top 15 Ivy school. Cal, that's a lot of people's safety school. Stanford. Steve Blank also taught at Stanford. Lean Launchpad, Engineering 245. I've never even sniffed. Just be excited that I memorize class numbers of schools that I did not go to. Lean Launchpad, Engineering 245. Engineering 145, Technology Entrepreneurship. Technology Sales, Tech Sales. If you demand 100 people do it, maybe 20 will. And that's why the fatality rate is so ginormous. Like, if you've got 3 co-founders, all are in engineering, all do tech sales, each engineer is going to be at a $1 million valuation to a $1 billion valuation, and will never die because each engineer will be bringing in $500K. Easy. And so now you scale because you did the hard thing about the hard thing. Do you see how easy being funny is? Because I'm literally quoting Andreessen Horowitz, Mark Andreessen, and Ben Horowitz book, The Hard Thing About the Hard Things, while I'm reciting Steve Blank's specific blog post links of Startup Death Spiral. bit.ly, bit.ly/sblank710. Oh, look. Oh, look. Coincidentally, I have my magic first monster notebook with me. Legend. Do you like how the sunrise catches the logo just perfectly? I do. Tech sales, technology sales, you cannot delegate to somebody else to do. If you delegate it to a VP of sales to do, sad face. Sad face because you only get 2 and then you're fired. Let me repeat. If you hire a VP of sales, the clock is ticking on your eventual death and financial demise. Instead, don't just have one hacker, one hustler. Both founders need to do tech sales. Both. Everybody sells. Asking strangers for money. Execution speed. Just practice baby steps for execution. Don't just warehouse this video and then say, oh, well, I'll just execute super slowly. Execution speed and speed of execution. In flow, you have to get off of zero execution. So execute texting 650-283 in a notebook, 8008, texting just one thing, hashtag CS183D, D for distribution. Punch yourself in the face if you're middle class. That's what they don't teach you at YC, because everybody who's talking to you is in the higher class and is in socialism. So if you're middle class, you're kind of screwed, because it's socialism at the very top, which is why everyone loves, all the rich people love being Democrats, and all the poor people, well, there's a new class of poor people. It's called middle class. And we all saw what that was as a disaster, right? Which is the disaster of why the middle class is facing a war. Punch yourself in the face if you're middle class, because nobody's here to save you. That's not hillbilly elegy. That's middle class elegy. Hillbilly elegy, J.D. Vance. No one's here to save you. And so it's rugged individualism if you're in the middle class, which is an up at dawn, humiliating schlep rock of doing a video where 17 people watch, right? And maybe 2 people will listen and then not go bankrupt. You know what? That's 2 more than what would have happened if I didn't wake at the break and pre-break of dawn. It's massively competitive for us in the middle class, because it's capitalism in the middle. There is no socialism to protect you. In fact, socialism, when it comes to the middle class, just wrecks all the classes, except for the one billionaire at the top. But even then, even in communism, like, they're still capitalist. It's just messed up capitalism, where you're flinging out some vajayjay just for a slice of bread. Like, it's a disaster. Like, in history, it's better to have a prostitute in the family than an infant corpse. What? What kind of dark shiitake is that coming out of Weimar Germany? It's what happens during hyperinflation. And so we have a bit of time to save up 6.15 Bitcoin, because what they don't teach you at YC, because it's so academic, is that you can continue to hope that you don't need to be competitive and hide in your YC bubble inside the Stanford bubble, but come inside the Larry Chang bubble, where tech sales is slightly easy, and you might get yelled at a couple times in private with Larry Chang, but then what happens is you end up becoming great because you're doing what Justin Kan mentors you to do. Justin Kan, oh, Michael Siebel, oh, those guys, they're great. You're just not listening to them, and they're giving you watered down advice that they're later having to delete because it's too truth bomby. It's too much truth, which is, it's okay to be yelled at when the customer is about to give you money, because that's when the prospect begins to get super angry with you, because they're about to burst. They're about to climax. Virgins, it is possible for people of a certain gender to have multiple climaxes. But when you're a virgin, you're like, there's no way I could get 5 in a row, 5 millions in a row. There's no way. Because a lot of YC companies will never even get to 600K in revenue. Normally I laugh here, but it's kind of sad now that I'm not laughing. Because why would you get a $11 million loan via venture capital and then not being able to do at least 600K in revenue?